Hello everyone, welcome to this video. In this video I will be discussing some of the most useful features of RStudio. So in general, RStudio really looks like this when you open it. On one side you have the console, and you'll also have the different scripts that you'll be using. So for example, if I open a new script, I'm going to here click on new file, RScript. You see you can open a lot of different files, a lot of different types of scripts for Python, for example, text files, create a presentation, create other types of documents. You can really do a lot of things with R, but here I'm just going to open just an R script window with that. Okay, and so you see that on the left in general you have that. You have here your script window, here the console, so this is where sort of R lives, right? So here if you click there and type in, just going to zoom in a little bit, just type in 1. Okay, so this is where sort of you're talking with R. Here you can prepare scripts. So I don't know, you can let's say that we will say that A is 1 and then B is 2, and then you say what is, you want to print A plus B, it should be 3. So you can select all of that and then run. Click on run here, which will sort of pass this onto the console. Okay, so if you do this, you see that everything shows up here in the console, and it has printed A plus B, which is 3. So this is essentially how it works. And if you're in any line and just click run, for example here, just on this line, click run, you should see just this line being run. And if you select some of the code and select run, everything you've selected will run. As a side note, a shortcut, you should really know the shortcut in RStudio to run lines. So on a Mac it's command and enter, like that, command enter, and on Windows I believe it's control and enter, or return I should say. And that's really the most useful that there is to know, because in general you will be working in the script window and prepare things there and then run things. So I suggest you get used to that shortcut. Okay, so this is your script, so that's where you develop your code and other things. This is where R lives, so this is where sort of you'll see the results of what you're doing. You can also interact, by the way, so this is the R console, but you can also interact with directly the terminal of your computer. You can also run scripts in the background while you're still working. That's another interesting feature. If you have analyzers that take a long time to run, you can run them in the background and then continue working, rather than just having R work and not be able to work, or having to create a new R session. So it's very useful. And then on the right you have a lot of other useful things. So here you have the environment, notably, so it shows you what is in the environment, and if you have a package that is installed, you can see what is in that package. So for example, you can see what is in the package stats, and you see everything, a lot of functions and everything. But generally you would just be looking at what is in your environment. So here you see I have stored a value for A and a value for B, which I've defined. Here I see the different values, and also in the options you can ask to store the last value that has been computed as last.value, which is something that can be useful if you're sort of continuously updating a value and just working with one value that you're updating. It can be useful to have that and see what it is. Another thing you can do is import datasets with that. So if you click on import dataset, you can import from text files. So for example, if you have comma separated values.csv files, you can read them either with the base R package, or you can use another package that's called reader, that tends to work better on some files with less incompatibility issues. If you have an Excel file, an SPSS file, SAS files, or Stata files, so you see it covers a lot of possibilities here, and it works quite well. If you're using that and it needs to install a package to do that, for example, I'm not sure I have Reader installed, it should prompt you to install it automatically, which is very convenient as well. Speaking of the environment, so here you see the different things that are in the environment. You can clean that and remove everything that's in the environment. So if I click here on the broom, I can remove everything from the environment. And so now you see that if I go in the console here, I type in A. Well, it doesn't know what A is because I've removed it from the environment. So I'd have to rerun that and then rerun A to see what it is. And now it is in my environment. So it can be useful if you have a lot of things to just you've ran a lot of analysis. You would tend to have your environment really crowded with a lot of values, and so it can be useful to remove them. There's actually another view for the environment which honestly is, I think, less useful, is the grid view, but it can be useful if you want to sort what's in the environment by something specific. So for example, if you see that your computer is slow, you might want to check if you have something here that takes a lot of space for some reason, which sometimes can be due to bug, for example. Other things you can do is look at the history of the comments that you passed. So here's what I did by the past, and you can use that again and put that again in the console or put that again in the script. So for example, if I put that in the console right there, see that's showed in the console. Or if I want to put something in the script, so again I'm clicking in the script, let's say I want to put that in the script again, and click on source and it shows up in the script. So it can be useful if you've done something, you're not sure what you've done, or you've done something that you want to use again. It's definitely something you can use. Then you have here connections to, if you're connected to a server while you're doing things. For some advanced users, it can be useful to have that. And then there's a new feature that consists in tutorials for R, which are sort of just starting right now, but are very promising. It should be really good. Okay, so what you have at the bottom is sort of a browser of different things. So you have a browser for the files in your computer. So you see here I'm on my Google Drive, and in a paper that I did, so I can look at the data analysis, etc. You can delete files, rename files. You can set this as your working directory, right? You can go to your working directory if you don't know where you are. So for example, if you save plots and you don't know where they are, you can look at this and see where your working directory is. You can also look at plots with that. So whenever you run a plot, it should show there. Let me see if I can make a quick plot here. I'm going to just create some random data. Let's say 100 data points with a mean 0, standard deviation 1. I'm going to store that in a vector, and then I'm going to plot a histogram of them. Let's see. Okay, so you see the plot shows here. And so you can do other things with that. For example, if you want to save the plot, you can click on export, save as image, save as a PDF, copy to a clipboard. If you want to, let's say, put it in a Word file, right? So you can resize it and then copy that. You can update the preview, change the width, height. You can really do a lot of things, and of course save that as well. Also works really well. If you click on packages, you will see all the packages that you have installed, and the ones that are checked are the ones that are loaded. So in other words, if you want to use a function from base here, which is really the base R package, you don't have to load the library is already loaded. So let's say you want to use the function let's see, any would work really, but let's say you want to use the function abs, which computes the absolute value of something. You can just directly use abs of -1 should be 1. Okay, it is 1. Right. So this function, you don't need to load the package for that. If you want to use a particular function within a package and you know which package it is and you just want to use one function, I suggest that you type in the name of the package like this, like base in this example, and then colon and colon, so twice, and then use the function from the package, like abs -2. Well, here it's already loaded, so it would do the same thing. Sorry, it would do the same thing, of course. But that's useful if the package is not loaded. Now, if you want to use a package very extensively with a lot of functions, then it might be more convenient to just load the package, and then you can use all the functions in this package without calling the package each time. And so to do that, you can just look at this list. Let's say you want to load the package called boot for bootstrapping. You can just click there, boot. And so you see it has run the command library boot, which loads the library that's called boot. And so inside, what you see also if you click on packages is that whenever you click on a package like that, you will see the help essentially of the package. Right? So all the documentation of the package. So here you have all of the functions, data sets that are in the package and all of that. And if you click on them, say gravity, okay, that's a data frame. And so shows you what there is in it, description of here this data set that is embedded in this package. As a side note, the help, so the help is another tab right there. You can type in other things. So let's say, well, I don't know what abs is doing, the absolute value. So you can just type in abs, and you see it takes you to the function abs. So whenever you're doing something you're not sure how it works, you can here directly search. Rather than go online and look for the documentation online on the package, this is already directly in it, and it works also without internet because it's directly within the package. Another thing I should say that is very convenient in RStudio is that whenever you're using a function, so let's say again that I'm using function abs, so I'm using abs and opening parentheses. If I'm not really sure how the function is working, what I can do is type the tab, and then it should show the different things that I can, the different arguments of the package, of the function. So here there's only one argument, which is just the number that I want the absolute value of. But it's telling me, okay, what you are supposed to pass here is a vector of values for which the histogram. Oh, it's not the right one. Okay, so we actually have a bug. I think it's histogram that's giving me here. Yeah, it's giving me histogram, so that's actually a little bug here. Not a good example. But you see, what I think is really useful is that if you don't want to, if you're just within a function and you want the help of that function, if you're right there, you tap in tab, you see the different vectors. And if you still need help, you can press F1, so you need to use the function button, and then type in F1, and you should see directly here the help for that function. So now you see everything about the histogram function and how it's supposed to work. So another thing you might want to do within R is, for example, you can develop things that are web pages or PDF documents. And whenever you do that, there's also the possibility of viewing them directly within RStudio, which really gives you like a sort of a big interface that can do a lot of things. So that's it for the main interface of RStudio. There are a lot of functions you can add. There's a lot of add-ins that you can create. You can reorganize, of course, the panes here. Here you have sort of a preview of the entire code that you can toggle here and see if you have very long code, etc., etc. Let me now go through the options and show you things that I think are useful, very useful in RStudio. So I'm going to go in RStudio Preferences. And so first thing I should say is that I've actually tweaked that already to my use, but I'm going to show you what I think is interesting and very useful. So first off, if you have a default working directory, you can set it here. In general, I would suggest that you use a specific working directory for each project, right? So for each research and each data analysis that you're using. So I'm not really using that because I set a working directory specifically for each project. What is interesting in here? So in code here, what is I think very interesting is this soft wrapping file. So it means that whenever you hit the end here of the window on the script, it goes back automatically to a new line without really changing the code. So it's not really new code, it's just the way it's showing you code, so you don't have to scroll right and left to continue a line, for example. Even though it's good practice to do short lines of code, if you have long lines of code, that's definitely useful. Automatic indentation is also useful. Insert two spaces for a tab is also useful. Snippets also, you can create your own codes that if you know that there's analysis you use a lot. Let's say, I don't know, computing Cronbach's alpha, for example, and it just takes you multiple lines. You have to load a specific package and everything. You can create a snippet, then you just type in alpha and it will just put the entire code and prepare the entire code for you. So this is very useful in my opinion. And then it's some highlighting. What I think is really interesting is code completion. So there's a lot of things that RStudio does for you, which is complete what you are starting to write. So whenever you start writing a function, if you don't remember the full name of the function, it will help you. So you choose your own settings here, but the way I do it is that after 3 characters, if it can continue what I'm writing, it will automatically suggest things. You can select 1, for example, or more than 3. I just find this one useful for what I do. And then you can also have a sort of an idle time. So here I have to wait 250 milliseconds for it to show code completion. That's useful to not set it to 0, because as you write, if it's just showing new functions, suggestions all the time, it can be distracting. If you already know what function you're going to use, you don't need the suggestion. So having that little wait period is really nice. And then if you want to toggle autocomplete, you would just use the tab function. So I'm just going to show that. Let's say I want to use the function histogram. Let's just type hi, and then I'm going to hit tab. It shows me, so here actually these are snippets that I created to do histograms in ggplot2, which is a package for R. But here you see it has suggested a data set that is actually, I don't know in what package it is, but here I have I can use the function hist from the graphics package here. Just click there, and same thing. The tab also helps you to know what is in the function and which function to what to autocomplete. So it's really nice to have that. The tab button is definitely something tab key will definitely be something you use a lot. You can create shortcuts, change your shortcuts as well. In the appearance, you might not like this this look. It's actually if you code a lot, you might want to have a darker theme for coding. I personally use this one a lot, Cobalt. So this is the one you're going to see me use. There's actually a lot of them. You can actually create your own if you prefer. You can change the size. Sorry, the font size, the font, the zoom. So that here I zoomed a little bit so that you can see better what I'm doing. There's a few themes here. So here I'm going to select Cobalt. So click OK. So see that's changed. I like it because it has a nice contrast. It's easier on the eyes, I think. So the layout here, you can change the layout, of the different panes from the default. The package is not necessarily something you're going to use a lot. So R Markdown is to create documents with R, so that's sort of an advanced use, but really useful. Sweep is also to create documents within R, especially LaTeX documents. There's a automatic spell check that's integrated. So I don't know, if you're creating documents, you can actually have also some spell checking as you would have in Microsoft Word, for example. And then the rest is not necessarily things that you're going to use. You can connect to GitHub, for example, with that. You can publish what you do on a specific server. Let's say a web page, you want to publish that to a server, you can use that. Yeah, that's essentially it. So I'm going to click OK for the options. A few other things I wanted to show on how to use RStudio. First off, how to install packages. So of course you can use install, the function install. It's actually here suggesting install.packages, and then type in the name of the packages. But I find that in RStudio it's easier to do it through this tab package, and you can here click install. I'm going to install a package that I know because I've developed it, an HST plot right there. So you see the nice thing is just start writing the name of the package and it will show right there. And then by default you would want to install them from CRAN, but you have other possibilities such as install through GitHub, or if you have previously downloaded the package you can also use that. And then I'm going to I keep checked install dependencies so that it installs all the packages that an HST plot is installing. And then if you want to install multiple packages, you can actually continue and search for packages right there, just installing other stuff. For example, I'm installing that. And then click install. You see it will just install everything automatically. Well, it's asking me if I want to install from sources, so that I have the very last version. I'm just going to say yes. Okay, and see it's downloading packages. It should actually take a while because it's actually packages that have a lot of dependencies. Another nice thing is that if you open a project in RStudio and it's missing packages that are not installed, maybe because you changed your machine or you updated R, it should show sort of a yellow banner here saying you're missing these packages for your code to run. Do you want to install them? So it's also very convenient this way. Another thing I wanted to show is that you can work in different projects. There's actually a lot of unfinished projects here, but you can, so you would create a new project, and then sort of it allows you to work within a specific workspace. So it creates a folder and you're working with that folder as your working directory, and whatever you do stays in that folder, etc. So it's a nice way to organize your work if you're working on multiple projects at the same time. That's essentially it. There's a lot of other functions in RStudio, but these are the main ones I wanted to show. Now of course you can save your script files, open new script files, etc. Put that in a new window. You can have different tabs here of source file. See, I can create a new one here, etc., etc. There's really a lot of things to discover with this program, but it really makes R programming really efficient. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.